The Chad Craig.
Alright, sorry OBS, you just missed out on
Me
the
too.
intro. Long story short, we are slight retcon.
Yeah. I have a
I'm just
question.
gonna give Wyatt the Fergus there, the fucking
Yeah,
the
he's
Craig
Craig
MP3. He
file.
doesn't watch the
yeah.
videos anyways. So
Um
I'm gonna draw this out, and you guys can be thinking about what just happened.
okay. I was at the secret or not the secret spot. I was in the like the Doom off trail like secret path, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Sweet. That's all I wanted. Um can I just continue down this path?
Yeah. As soon as I get the visual aid drawn back up.
Sure. As you're drawing that, Cecil, I think Cecil takes out the emerald from last session
Okay.
and kind of like peers over it. Does this look familiar? Is there anything specific about this that
Roll
would?
history.
Okay.
Top left corner is gonna be you, Virgil.
Okay.
But functionally, you're directly above the bottom right, which is where Cecil is.
I got a 7.
Um,
Before you say anything, I'm gonna re-roll now.
okay.
Hey, that's statistically unlikely. Double fours.
It is statistically unlikely. It's also statistically unfortunate.
Yes, but that's okay.
I understand getting your reroll out of the way so you don't have to think about if you have it or not, but Jesus Christ, man, it's the first roll!
You're damn right it is.
Okay.
Anyways, so what can you tell me about this lovely jewel?
You've never ever seen an emerald that is quite this just
Green.
perfect and gorgeous.
Honestly, pause. I think this is the first time Cecil's seen an
All right.
emerald.
Well, it's not the first time you've seen a gem, and it's just a
No,
really just gorgeous green gem, perfectly
piss
cut,
off, Big
It's
Gem.
a,
symmetrical,
the
all of
green
that.
rock.
So, Virgil,
Cool.
you're
Its
right
name is
here.
Tom.
This is where.
I'm still looking at the district.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, did you get rid of the Solvane district? That makes me sad.
It's not what it is, and I hate you. So you're right here. Here's
I believe you.
here's the big wall with all the perforations that you just jumped towards. Here's the perforations. You get the picture. Um, some of the perforations look tight enough that you could probably get your body through them if you were to like jump, grab, and then kind of like try to pull yourself through. However, you
Amigara fault.
can't really see what is past this perforated wall, and but it is the left portion of the room that was compressing inwards. Virgil, you have just succeeded on a strength check to revolve this water wheel. Is that good or bad?
How is that?
Ho ho! Nice.
Sex
I got the
number.
nice number, but
Um,
it's bad, so.
I'm going to say that you hear something shift in the metal, and then you hear the rushing of fluid ambiently. There are still walls and a ceiling above you, or rather walls around you and a ceiling above you. The bottom of this area is mostly what seems to be missing, and you do know through testing prior that there's a crunch zone separating the area Cecil is in with the area you are in. It might be a blanket, might have holes in it, you're not sure, but you did drop something, it got crunched. And you hear fluid now.
Well, that did a thing.
Cecil, you also hear this.
Wasn't what I wanted, but it did a thing. Any more lovers around?
There were the other two. This was the last one. The
Yeah.
the
was the last
first one got the
yeah.
walls to compress. What did the second one do?
The first one got the walls to compress. The second one did the catwalk shift.
Right, yeah.
There was one that just did straight up nothing.
So the catwalk shift, as you can see, the catwalk is not symmetrical. Yeah, that was the water wheel that straight up did nothing. Because I rolled differently on the percentile dice. The catwalk shift was not symmetrical, so the second one actually made it so you could access the water wheel, or rather the valve wheel.
What is Antikythera's ambient smell?
Just kind of metal, slight ozone.
Nice. Respect it.
Yeah, I'd imagine it smells like, you know, a water hose, like how it smells, that wet iron,
Yeah.
bronzy smell. That, that's what I picture at any rate.
I kind of always imagined it smelling like the closet to a band. Um, hmm.
So the perforated wall itself isn't that far from you.
Yes, okay. So I could feasibly leap into one of the slightly bigger ones to see what's going on and hopefully don't get crushed by the impending.
You would essentially be hoping that there's not a crunch layer between the two platforms, you and the perforated wall, and then you'd be hoping that there isn't one immediately past it, because you kind of have to hook your fingers in as if
Yeah,
perching on a windowsill. It's definitely close
Great.
enough for you two.
Well, that sounds good to me.
Great.
Cecil hops and grabs the things.
No roll needed, and no crunch zone as a
Epic.
result.
All right.
You're looking.
And so Cecil.
You're looking past,
Oh, sorry.
and you see.
Yeah. What's going on? What's happening?
This is about
Big question.
probably 15-ish feet past the wall, and on
Mhm.
top of it is another green orb.
Okay, sweet. I
The
think
same
I know
one-
how to
the
do
same one
this.
that dissolved down into a +2 materia from the first
How-
room.
How level is this 15-foot thing compared to where I am?
It's kind of awkwardly placed. It's on like a 30-degree incline, but away from
Okay.
you.
I think I figured out how to get this easier. Can I climb up to the top of this perforated wall and just like jump onto it?
The perforations.
Because that'd be more of a drop.
The perforations aren't really evenly placed. It's more like
How high
like
up?
big holes that got punched into it.
Okay.
There's a good 20 feet between the perforation you're on and the actual top of the wall, and the wall meets with a ceiling that kind of juts out this way.
Oh, so it's like so there is a ceiling to this? Like
Not
can I
to
not
this whole chamber, just this specific
okay.
wall is like an upside down L block.
Oh, okay.
It's
there's-
gonna require some finesse to get to the top. It's feasibly doable, but there isn't a lot of recovery space if you fuck it up.
Well, I could theoretically just, be positioned so if I fell, I'd fall back onto the platform I was on.
And then you need to make sure that your momentum isn't going to roll you off.
Obviously. Yeah, of course. But, that's the idea. So I'm gonna try, I think, if that's fine with you.
No problem.
So Cecil on the perch there would basically position his like hands and feet kind of like in a squatted kind of crouch down position, like hugging the wall. And with like a single kind of burst would attempt to kick off the wall and hook the L shape with Death in the West to do the thing that I did earlier that almost
Death in the West is already in the crunch zone. It got crunched.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not gone in the real world though, right? I don't remember if it was or wasn't.
Yeah.
Everything that happened after the Death in the West
Almost
got crunched.
certainly not.
Didn't happen.
Almost certainly
Okay.
you still have it.
Okay, then doesn't matter. Well, I mean, Cecil's got claws, it doesn't matter. So, yeah, he'd kind of run up and just do the grabby thing that you see that looks easy when people who are professional do it, but is, requires a lot of acrobatics.
This is very acrobatic. Yeah, go ahead and roll.
21.
So you kind of do that thing, like that thing that's at like climbing gyms where you're putting things in pegs, and then you just like gotta pull yourself up with arm strength, unlatch them from the pegs while you're in midair, and then latch them into higher holes.
Yeah.
You do
That
that.
always looks so cool.
You do that, except instead of latching them into higher pegs, you just plant your feet where your fingers were just grasping the inside of the perforation and kick off diagonally with a little bit of an upward wall run.
Yeah. Okay.
You grab the lip
Yeah,
of
a little-
this, and you're now hanging on. You can pull yourself up to the top relatively easily. And then
Does that require a roll?
not at all.
Sweet.
So you're now up here, looking down at the
Wrong.
edge. Let's put you to front so that it's more visually represented.
Yes.
So this is about 15 feet away, and it's very easily made. However, the brass here, it's kind of...
Is it funky looking? What's up?
Yeah, this side of the wall has just a thick, sort of viscous... Like, imagine tar if it was oily, just slowly
Okay, yeah, I can
moving
imagine
down
that.
it from the top. You see a lot of valves, and the tar looks like it's been here for a while, but coming out of the valves is this oily substance that's loosening and almost like diluting into the tar and causing it to drip down this side of the wall. You also see this, now that you have a better vantage point, on the surface of this, and just touching it, it seems like it would be very easy to compromise like your grip on something or your footing if you were to, say, land from a 15-foot drop.
Would it be an instant slip? Oh, fall?
So here's the thing.
Okay.
Who has the +2 materia that you guys got in the first room?
Presumably, Amalia had it.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume behind the scenes you guys explained to Cecil, or rather Cecil would have Calliope's memories of taking things from Eden and then not having them show up in the real world, but still having them when in Eden. So in theory, you jump, you grab this green orb and whatever it ends up turning into, whether it be a materia or something else, you maybe fall into the crunch zone and die, and
But you still have
you
it?
will still have it next time you come here.
Alright. Now, what if I didn't try and grab onto anything at all? Say, let me use, what's a tool thing I could use? This? No. Where's the ping?
You just click and hold.
Oh, I found the line. So, oh, whoops. Oh, okay. So, say I'm here,
Uh-huh.
right? And I jump, and I continue sliding from here.
Mhm.
What is here? What is this?
This is functionally, I'm gonna undo this right after I do it, but this is functionally above this whole place. It's just in the top
Cool.
left corner so that Virgil can see where he is.
So there's nothing beyond this.
No. This is just crunch space.
Okay.
Actually, I guess to set the setting a little more, probably a good 500, 600 feet in most directions, you're seeing other chambers that are conceivably like this, but at odd angles and fixated to giant, like, stone pistons and, not stone, brass pistons
Alright.
and other fixtures of the interior of this massive machine.
To remove an amount of possible slipping and dying, could I, like, would it make sense to just take my coat off and fling it over and then land on it?
Yeah,
Alright, yeah, okay.
it would give you more
so
space
yeah,
to recover.
Alright, sweet. So Cecil, yeah, takes it off, kind of droops it, like, you know, like you're airing out a blanket, and then jumps down, goes full cowabunga.
So you're jumping while holding it underneath you?
Yeah.
Okay. You land. Go ahead and roll a dex saving throw.
Oh. 14.
So you land on the coat, and
Wait. I might push myself here. I'm gonna exert myself, yeah?
sure, roll.
Okay.
Got a lot of HP to work with, and
Dan?
conceivably you guys aren't staying here much longer. So subtract 10 health.
No.
You land. You nail it. You
24
sort of use the friction between the oiled up tar and your coat to just kind of like bunch it all up at the bottom and create this little, so like if this is the diagonal surface of the thing, right, and this is the
Yeah.
tar, the
Yes.
tar's all like bunched up down here because you displaced it with your coat, but
Yeah, that
it holds fast. and as you go to touch the green thing, your arm kind of goes through this outer shimmering layer and grasps
Whoa.
the form of a materia on its inside.
What's it look like?
It looks pearlescent and white.
From hanging out with Catherine, does this look like anything similar?
So, it looks like other materia that are pearlescent and white, but mileage may vary in a big way. Like, materia function doesn't necessarily have a connection to its appearance.
That's true. So I couldn't in any way analyze. I couldn't in any way analyze what this might be.
Not without the specific training that Catherine has, no.
All right, cool. Stuffs it in the pocket of his pants because his coat is covered in oil.
So Virgil, you're watching all of this
yeah.
like from above on the catwalks. Do you want to do anything?
Yeah.
Want to?
Hey, Kavi!
What?
I don't think you know Kavi's there.
We
Well, I
do.
did shout down. Didn't
Yeah.
I shout down to them?
Yeah. Eric, that didn't
Yeah.
get retconned. That
Right.
didn't do anything. Yeah.
You're correct. The
Brain.
noise doesn't carry as well up, so you don't hear anything, Catherine.
But she did. She heard Virgil's fuck.
Yeah, Eric.
Crazy.
Hold on. Wait a minute. I might have to retcon more. The sound waves have to travel through a medium, right?
Yeah.
Neither of you heard anything. There's crunch zone between you guys.
Ah.
Okay.
Well, there goes that plan where she was going to jump down and hope somebody cast Featherfall or something last minute.
You could still
Would have
conceivably do
jumped
that.
into the crunch zone. Couldn't
Well, yeah, but the
probably
crunch
anyways.
zone is there. Like
Yeah,
Eric
well,
just.
the backup plan was to jump down and shout, "I'm in the tiered gardens!" right before smashing into that.
We know.
So
That's a shame because I was going to tell her that one of us is planning on climbing a damn pillar. Please be on the lookout. But if sound doesn't travel through the crunch zone, then
in all
Wait,
fairness,
no. Sound has to travel through the crunch zone.
No, it physically can't. You can't talk to Cecil either.
that changes a whole lot of
That
things.
changes so fucking much, Eric.
Yep.
Eric,
Ugh, why?
that's hardly a retcon and just a new rule. But okay.
Well, I wasn't
Paying
being
attention
I wasn't
in
being
physics class.
physically accurate. Actually, no.
Apparently not.
I'm gonna say that you and Cecil can talk to each other, but the sound feels displaced. One of you roll a vague intelligence check to see why.
24.
Great. There's holes in the crunch zone separating you guys, and
All right, cool. Sorry, I should have asked. I'm sorry, Kara. I should have asked for the. For the
You
for the
can
save if you wanted to do it.
use this phenomenon to triangulate where these holes in the crunch zone are, because they're probably perforated in the same pseudo-random ways that this wall is perforated, to conceivably either drop things to the lower level / get things up to Virgil.
Huh. Okay.
I mean, my whole thing was in the original puzzle. How was Virgil supposed to have guided them out if they couldn't have heard anything?
Yeah.
No, yeah, I'm well aware that that's
That
the
would've been the
position you were
problem, yeah.
taking, and it's a
Yeah.
lot more reasonable for there to be perforations in this crunch zone as opposed to above you, because above you is largely the void.
Something completely different as well. Yeah.
So can I jump back to that wall now?
You could, but the tar and the oil are very thick on this side.
Yeah, but tar sticky.
Not after the oil makes contact with it. It's kind of a new solution afterwards.
Okay, but there are still those perforations, right? So I could still feasibly like hook my arm into them and it's an easier climb because there's no L shape.
You can't really.
Wouldn't you be hooking your arm
This
into
is
the crunch
so. This is
zone?
going to be a hard jump because he doesn't know if
Hmm.
there's crunch zone between these two areas. He just wanted an easier jump, is why he got to the top. This jump is going to be hard. You don't have a running start at all. It's
No.
15 feet, and then
It's just a standing long jump of 15 feet.
And-
That'd break a record or 10.
and then you like successfully putting your arm through a hole is gonna hurt really bad.
Okay. So where else can go? Nowhere?
Doesn't look like it.
Honorable suicide?
You can also just decide to wake up.
Oh yeah, wait, can you just leave the hunter's dream like that?
Basically, yeah.
You
You
could-
just
You could
Dang.
just find a very hard surface and smash your head against it while you're on
Yeah.
you guys got out like when you short rested. You can just decide to chill, and it.
Alright, then yeah, Cecil just, uses the hunter's mark and disappears from the dream.
All right, Virgil, you want to stay, or you got more stuff, or do you want to go?
Can I get back to the other levers and push them the opposite ways, or did they break?
No, yeah, you can. So the first lever or the second lever? You want to flip the catwalk back over, or do you want to uncrunch the walls?
Ideally, I would like to do both, but one step at a time. So let's.
Okay, so you
flip
flip
the catwalk back
flip
over.
the catwalk
and
back
then-
over. You're prepared for it to flip this time, so you just kind of brace yourself and slowly move over to the other side as it revolves. Then you hit the other lever, and the walls push back out to their original positions. Wait a minute. No, that's not how that lever worked. The walls are going to compress until they meet, so you would have had to pull the lever back in order to stop them from compressing.
So the walls are stuck where they're at then.
They're stuck where they're at, and the lever is in the position that it was in before you interacted with it.
So what happens if I push it again?
The walls start to compress again.
But the walls are already compressed together.
They don't meet. Like they pushed this chamber in, and they were pushing this perforated wall forward. Like they were pushing these two places inward,
In together.
and then
Okay.
the lever was put in its original position, and they stopped.
And presumably we had some bullshit going on here that caused the room inside them to get smaller as well.
If
Because
you
that's how Albus and Amalia got crunched.
So what happened was the room they were in got crushed like a soda can.
So they were in like this room, and then Cecil had,
Basically.
and then had. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they just got crushed like they were inside of a soda can. Which is interesting
Sody
pop.
because right here there's technically nothing, so in theory it could have just moved the room as a whole to the left, but it did look like it was getting crushed between the wall and another force.
I'm gonna kind of hope that this will all just reset afterwards. So I'm gonna see what happens when the two walls
Meat?
quote unquote meet.
Alright,
Yes.
it basically just
See if maybe
compacts
they'll reset or
everything
anything.
together into this it's this kind of rice patty of brass and metal, and the noise it makes as everything's grinding together is incredibly painful. Roll a constitution
how
I
Save.
save.
imagine.
Oh dang.
Can I hear it?
No.
Good.
There would be questions if you could hear it. Yeah, you take 7 thunder damage.
I'm not worried about it.
Yeah,
Not
you
even
can
gonna
see
bother marking it. Fuck
you
it.
could dodge the sound waves. You saw them coming.
It was a constitution save. He's gritting his teeth through it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yuck save,
So it's just a
backflip through the
rice
town.
paddy now. Does the lever cease functioning?
No, it just remains in its position.
Kick it further.
However,
And
you can now
toggling it won't do anything.
you can now like
afterwards?
kind of hop down to the tops of these two walls.
I suppose, in the interest of gathering as much data on this as possible before waking up, I should.
All right, so it's only probably like so the area that things got crunched in was in between these two walls. So when they meet, like you jumping down to the top of them isn't at the same altitude that the crunch zone was at, it's higher. So you can probably just do that. It's only like 7 or 8 feet.
Alright. Alright. And investigate to see if there's anything extra unnatural, I guess?
Sure.
I'm gonna surge that.
All right.
Because I can.
So 17. You
Yes.
basically the only thing of note that you find is you move to the edge that overlooks the area past this whole place, past the door that you would conceivably have to open via the timekeeper, though you're not sure. You haven't been down to explore yet. You see more of Antikythera just amalgamated in these two huge binding like coils around. By the way, yes, the inspiration for this is exactly Dalamud from Final Fantasy XIV.
I hate you.
This titanic humanoid creature that is upside down. The leg that had been imprisoned in the first room was just the very
Is gone.
the very end. Well, listen, it's the very end of a limb that was stretching up. From what you can tell, you're looking at it upside down. It's being held upside down, and it has a total of 7 limbs.
7 limbs. That's pretty important. Can I think about it and get its name?
Yeah, it's the indestructible.
It's just the indestructible as a whole. Okay.
This is the least destructible thing ever.
Okay.
And yet it died when Nair touched it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
we don't have the timekeeper anymore, so unless
So
he
it's
comes back,
definitely
God, I
less
hope.
destructible than the
but-
timekeeper.
So maybe 7 different puzzles to go through.
Maybe.
so this
In theory,
leads me.
so this thing also has a head that you can kind of vaguely place. You can't see it in its entirety, but
You could just blow up its head. Yeah.
if you get to its head, you get the feeling that. So there is an incentive to skip puzzles. You don't have to go through the entire thing, and if you find an alternative way of affecting this thing, then you can essentially get some really nice speedrun strats into this place.
You know, these like maybe not gimmicks for bosses, but types of bosses.
How far away is this from where Virgil's at on the edge of the rice pad?
It's pretty far. It looks like a good 700, 800 feet. It looks like you're sort of in a little cell, like in a little specific area of Antikythera, and there's just thousands and thousands more, and each limb kind of disappears into these cells, and the clusters are connected via all manner of horizontal, vertical, diagonal, sort of like space elevator like brass shafts that you can vaguely see into through holes.
So, since you said the inspiration, I can assume that it's just like that waiting area that you get teleported into in the binding coils
Kind of, yeah.
after you complete a coil?
Yeah, you're looking at
Alright.
the inner core of this place.
Alright, yeah, that makes sense.
What were you gonna
okay,
say,
that's
Fergus?
Oh, I was
plenty
just
of
gonna say is
information.
that Eden as a whole reminds me less of Bloodborne and more of Demon Souls with its inspiration.
Yeah, there's a lot of that there. One of the things I'm most appreciative to Bloodborne about is the pseudo homage to Demon Souls, with having each of its areas accessed via a different tombstone.
Yeah, I respect. That's big respect to that.
Is it an
They all have
homage if it's from the same company?
Yes, everything Miyazaki does is an homage to himself.
yeah, he's
Yeah,
kind of
That
a
sounds real.
he's kind of an Ouroboros of good ideas.
And I don't like it.
Uh.
Because it makes, when you're ripping off just one guy over and over again, it starts to feel
It
less
becomes
authentic.
yeah. Also, really quick, Eric. In the waking world, Cecil's already like going to the tower. Just so you
No
know.
problem. And you're going with Rudolph, right?
Yes.
Perfect. So you're just gonna wake up, right, Virgil?
I think that's all the information I can gather, but that's quite a bit of
It is.
information, so it's not a total loss. So, gonna try. He'll try to shout for Kavi one more time, see if she's anywhere around, but no response, right?
You're just gonna yell into the abyss?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Theoretically, she would have to be somewhere in the abyss. Sound can't travel all that far.
So where are you screaming? Are you screaming into the place that you just investigated, like the big interior? Like the inner core of Antikythera?
Yeah, it might travel through all the cells and whatnot and attract her, I guess. I'm not certain, but fuck
High,
it,
good, or
it's
bad?
worth a shot. High is good. I'll be on that team for once. I knew I shouldn't have been on that team for once.
Now, that's not how you do
Okay.
it. No. Hold up. Eric, is high good or bad? Answer: high is always good. See, you have to be enthusiastic.
Is high, good, or bad?
High is amazing. I love high.
I'm asking our buddy Virgil.
Say it.
Fine, high is always good.
Honestly,
See.
enthusiasm.
It's still below half. So anyways, 23. 23 airing towards the negative. You see this thing's head start to move towards you. It's with a great rumbling. It doesn't look like it. So you hear your voice echo very strangely in this inner core, bouncing off of invisible walls, almost as if there's just a system of canyons you can't see. It even sounds like it comes back to you at times, louder than when you first shouted. That was sort of the equivalent of this thing, like, of you slipping something out from under this thing's arm while it's asleep, and then it grumbling and rolling over onto its other side. After everything settles, it returns once again to the absolute stillness of this place.
I don't suppose you have any tips for this since we killed a timekeeper, do ya, boss? He kind of angrily pokes at his arm. Yeah, that's what I thought.
And then you wake up.
Actually, I kind of wanted to take a closer look at it. I want to know if it looks different while we're in the dream world compared to the real world.
What are you looking at? Your corkscrew?
The corkscrew scar, yeah. I hadn't thought about that until now, but
Roll investigation.
if it does act different, I need to change to the core tab.
It is changing
Nice.
color from the top down to the wrist. It almost looks like a fuse.
Please tell me this isn't a bomb. You wouldn't do that to me, would you? Or maybe you would. Maybe I'm just meant to blow up in that guy's mouth. Is that it? Alright. Well, this is gonna... If everything doesn't reset when I come back.
So you sit down to
Well,
rest.
I've done all I can do.
You sit down to rest, and this is where the crit in your investigation comes in. You feel watched.
Ooh.
Not much of a shock.
You feel watched in the way that you don't normally feel watched. This is different, this is sudden, and it's alien. And you get the feeling it doesn't correlate to your arm.
That's more of a concern, yes. That's unsettling. Very unsettling. Very unsettling. Whoever's doing that, you want to talk? I can talk.
And all of a sudden, shimmering from next of you, stepping out of the most advanced Canadian cloaking technology you've ever seen, you see Razorface. And this time, he is wearing a full-headed mask. One with 3 glowing red splinter cell eyes, essentially. Essentially, not essentially.
Ironically.
There are these long blades coming out of the parts of his suit that are at his forearms, and there are some buzzing and whirling contraptions that are affixed to his belt. They're
Who is Razorface again?
Razorface is the person from Virgil's intro.
Right.
He offers you a hand to help you up.
Holy shit, I forgot all about you. Are you... I've got a story to tell you. And he takes the hand.
He helps you up, he takes a couple steps back, and he folds his arms. Where is your friend?
Which one?
The girl. The... What are they... What's the accent called in universe, Stuart?
Put me in the spot, why don't you?
It's like it's the wrong accent.
I'm gonna
it's
say
the wrong
all
name for the
Canadians
accent.
are just Spanish. He says
Oh,
the local one.
that means that Tara retroactively had a Spanish accent.
No,
Thank
she
you.
lived in Izuni for 2 years. You start talking like a Japanese people around Japanese people. That's all I'm saying.
Oh my god, Eric, no, that's not how it works.
Yes, it is. You assimilate to the accents around you. You absolutely do.
That's-
Oh,
That
you
is-
poor soul. So, just on this note, my dad's cousin has lived in Australia for 40 years now, and her Scottish accent has not diminished slightly.
Well, I'm gonna kill her for being
Told you.
dissenting to my point. The one with the local accent.
She died?
Yes, here.
She'll be back.
But where is she in the real world? And
With me.
okay, where are you?
In the... what fucking...
Sylvan District.
It's not that one, it's not that one. the one with the trees. Sylphie. Sylvan District. Sylvan
Sylphie
District. Yes.
And
Yes, that's the one.
have you seen her friend that hides in the walls?
That creep totally came down out of the ceiling, out of nowhere, and I haven't seen him since then. Actually,
Where did you see him?
he was in the chair. No, not Cheroos. No, is it Cheroos?
Wow.
What's the district of we failed to protect
That was
again?
the Cherries.
Ow! It was the Cheroos? Okay, that's what I thought. The Cheroos district, but you're not gonna find anything there anymore. We kind of failed.
You see portions of his sort of skin tight head mask contract as if it's clear that he's smiling underneath it, and he says, "Thank you." And he takes a step backwards.
What are you doing here?
He goes to take a step
Come
backwards.
on, question for a question.
He goes to take a step backwards, and then he stops, and he says, "Why I came to question you."
We're in another dimension.
We are in.
I'm so glad you divulged all that information before you think, hey, what are you actually here for?
I don't think you have an adequate grasp on exactly what this place is if you're calling it another dimension.
Do you look? I will take notes if you're willing to tell me, because I have been so confused about everything.
No, I believe I've acquired all I came for. Thank you, Virgil.
You're welcome.
I suppose you may ask one inobvious question.
But does it have to be foreboding?
I want to know. No, I know how. Have you seen an ice golem around here?
You,
Have you just been tracking me? Because if you've been tracking me,
I've not been
presumably
tracking.
through this thing,
He holds up a finger.
then
I've not been tracking you. You just have information that is pertinent to my mark.
and you managed to find me in this place, Antikythera? Who the hell are you? You know what? Questions for another time. Questions for another time. All right, right. Makes perfect sense. You know, scratch my back, I scratch yours.
I have a good feeling that no matter how many questions I allow you to ask, you won't be able to parse any information from them. You don't seem to be very good at interrogation. It has been a pleasure, though. And he completes his step back. The camouflage remanifests around him, and it is as if he was never there.
I'm offended, bitch.
Should be. You kind of wasted an opportunity there.
It was a good question, and was the foremost on his mind, so, what can you do?
Paint a target on Amelia's back is what you can do.
Could have asked him who he works for.
Yeah.
Could have asked him what he wants.
You could have
Well,
asked,
he wanted that information, so
Could
that
have
wouldn't have
asked.
done any good.
what is this place?
Could have asked why he cares about Amalia. You could have asked exactly how he got here. You didn't.
Instead, have you seen a couple of ice cubes? I dropped them.
So,
Have you seen my glasses?
we are going to move to let's start with everyone except for Cecil, because Cecil got a little bit of a limelight in Antikythera.
Fact, huh?
So, you all come to. You're still in the little clearing around the massively askew black flight resting on the trunk of the crawling Icalia. And you all were kind of just resting, slumped against tree stumps or on your bedrolls or whatever. And as you awake, Cecil and Rudolph are both gone, having likely taken off.
Well,
Amalia, you kind of feel a little bit of a prick in your back, as if somebody had just plunged a knife into it. Named Virgil.
so every day of every week then.
Amalia is going to get up. She's going to process the, for her, unique experience of having died. It's nice. And she's going to look around. And she's going to try and parse what she can do to resolve the issues they're currently facing in Eden. So the timekeeper is dead.
At least presumably.
Right. Okay.
I would go over what you, the information that you got after everyone else was gone, Virgil. Unless you want to keep a secret.
So, he shares with them the information about the binding coil.
Alright, so now everybody knows that you are in a cluster of chambers that is dedicated to one of the 7 limbs of this thing. It looks like you've already done away with the limb that this cluster of chambers was associated with. Now you just need to figure out how to get to the other ones.
Right, so there's 7 more of them, and we don't have a way to get rid of them.
Yeah,
Really helpful.
that's a problem.
Is there anything else?
Naturally, because Kavi was in presumably the tiered gardens, she was not appearing. She did not appear next to us, so there is some sort of spatial continuity going on.
In a weird way,
Faker
Virgil.
Gavin.
In a weird way, Virgil. Sorry to interrupt. As you say that, you kind of realize that there was one of the big shafts that could possibly have been an elevator seems to have the same spatial occupancy as the massive trunk of the crawling Icalia.
Interesting. Interesting.
Plan to elaborate on that, or just...
Well, there was this shaft in Eden that was about the same. Wait, no, Virgil didn't see the crawling Icalia.
Yeah, you did. You guys took a nap after you got
It was
here.
just Kavi. Oh
No,
yeah, I
it's
guess we
it's
did
still
see that.
it's still here. It's just a big
I-
tree trunk that used to not
yeah,
be there.
it's still just okay. Yeah, actually, thinking about it, that tree trunk, it does take on about roughly the same dimension. It's just a shame that wherever we are in Eden, we can't also teleport through here.
You can't what?
Well, if we could traverse Eden, and well, when we wake up, be in another spot that correlates to it on this plane, would save us at least a bit of walking.
So you're a
Or, more
decent
importantly, time.
You're a decent bit away from Dirt Scritch's place, which was the last place you guys had slept, and it seemed like you had woken up in exactly the same position that you had left in.
Mm-hmm.
It does not seem as straightforward as... Roll Insight. Because you're thinking about this pretty hard, and since you're doing it in a group environment, I'm going to say that someone can give you advantage if they choose to.
And by someone, you mean me, because there's only me and Virgil Albus here.
Well, damn, you're right. Let's go ahead and roll again. See if you get higher than a 21.
21's pretty good.
Alright, so, it might be more... There's this weird sort of, like, projectionism going on in Eden, where you guys feel separated from Catherine, and so when you go to the gamer dimension, you are separated from her. But when you don't feel separated, or rather the people you feel that you're immediately around, you guys seem to just wake up normally in there.
I wonder then if we kept her close to our hearts and thoughts and pretended, if we fooled ourselves into believing. Yes, that makes sense.
So, you're a doctor. This would probably necessitate some kind of hypnotism. You can start working on a medication that does that.
I actually have been thinking about, like, truth serums and suggestive serums.
Yeah, with the 21 insight, I'll say
So,
make an 8-step clock for making a truth serum.
I'm gonna throw that in here. 8-step suggestive serum. Truth serum would be an entirely different thing.
I think suggestive serum would be an entirely different thing.
Alright. Anything you guys want to do?
Yeah, 1 second.
Does it start out at 0 out of 8?
I'll say it starts out at 2 out of 8.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just serum.
Oh, it's with an E. I don't know why I was thinking it was with a Y. Siren.
Okay, so Amalia is going to cast Sending.
On.
Kivi.
So, Catherine.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and type your message out. It works.
Okay, what was the message to me?
I'm gonna describe that in a second. So you have been led into a room in the tiered gardens. It's small. It's almost like a studio bedroom. And in it there is a massive armoire with a mirror in front of it, intricately carved out of some exquisite woods. There's a large rug with various designs that is occupying the floor of this place, and you're seated in almost like a little barber's chair in front of the mirror. And Azitra, just kind of like, after settling you in and patting your shoulders almost in a motherly fashion. She gives you a soft smile and then leaves. And this is when you would lose consciousness, sit in the gamer dimension for however long you did, and then come back. So you come back to consciousness in the same chair, and your hair's being pulled back gruffly and brushed through by attendants that you haven't seen before. You've already got kind of like a face full of preliminary makeup that's just kind of caked into your skin. You're being dressed up basically. You've got this large shawl over your shoulders that keeps anything from getting on your blouse or any of your limbs. But all of a sudden you hear this message whispered into your mind from Amalia. Working on plan to rescue you. Will cast sending each morning to check up. If I don't get response, we'll accelerate efforts. Respond if able. What do you think back?
17. Okay, that gives me 8 more words.
No, you have 25 words. It's 25 for both responses. God, can you imagine? Both people only get 25 words between them? Sounds awful.
I mean, that would give you 0 words to work with.
Respond if able. Or start fireballing.
Okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Does punctuation show up?
It's spoken in their mind.
Fly. Like, Amalia's not going to take points off for grammar in the situation.
Unfortunately, you can't send pictures because those are worth 1,000 words, but...
Five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17.
Beep boop.
That will be might be. Okay, let's put in a misspelling to give Amalia a heart attack and count this up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I love the sending spell.
Sending spell is great. If Virtual was a Megan had found the reverse clock, that would solve so much. So much!
Okay. 18? Or maybe that's 19? How many words is that?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. I'll just let you have it. I don't care. It's 5 over the limit, so you take 5 damage. It's fine. I don't give a shit.
Sure.
Am in tiered gardens, really nice plants. Am guest of Ozitra. Roderick and Cell elsewhere.
With the quotation marks, don't forget
Of course,
the
of
quotation marks.
course. Elsewhere in gardens will have lab access. Might still be sacrificed though. Be careful, strong bastards. So you get all that, Amalia. And
How the fuck Managed to work air quotes in the sending.
You can just kind of hear it in the voice. Like, am guest of a Zitra.
I don't really want to think about what that could mean. Anyway. Where's Senra? What's Senra doing?
He's inspecting the wreckage. You see him probably a good 30, 40 feet away. He's displaced some of the shattered and broken wood and pulled other pieces that weren't quite completely blasted off of the ship looser so that he can like look inside some cavities, and it looks like he looked over the engines a little bit. He's just looking around because you guys all took a nap.
Okay, so yeah, what I would like to do first is start a new research project.
All right.
What I did with the drowned king, and that's true name,
Mhm.
I'd like to try doing with the timekeeper.
All right. Is that good or bad?
High is fuck it, high is good.
All right. This is a one-step clock. What would you like to know about the timekeeper?
What I'd like to know about the timekeeper.
I'll give you two pertinent questions.
Alright. Can his abilities be replicated?
What do you mean abilities? Specifically, its tendency to, at direct contact, age things into dust/non-existence.
Yes.
So what you know that is it is a removal of time from entropy. So it causes entropy to be completely carried out on whatever it touches to the very end, to the point of non-existence. No, it can't. And
Okay.
you also know that it only happens to things that aren't foreign to Antikythera, but things that are foreign or specific things inside Antikythera will be affected. And one of the two was the circular portions of the walls of the chamber you guys were in that caused it to fall through the floor and die.
Right.
High is always good.
I suppose question number 2. Can it be reconstituted?
That specific one?
Oh, there's more than one.
You don't know, maybe. Are you thinking about that one in specific, or are you asking about the
Yes.
concept of timekeepers? So that one in specific is dead. When things die, they're gone. So probably not. However, in the way that the information kind of comes to you, you'll get a little more to this thing's background. This timekeeper is not the only thing of its kind. It's a member of an upper caste system of Antikythera. It is explicitly a creature that lives there. Or at least, the way Antikythera is part of something, the timekeeper is part of the same thing. There could be more, but you're not sure in how many numbers. And it also means that there are dwellers of Antikythera that are either beneath or above the timekeeper. And assumedly, the indestructible is either at the very top of that list or the very bottom. Either way, there seems to be a very close relationship between the indestructible itself and the timekeeper's duty. The timekeepers are sort of the jailers. You're not sure what other types of dwellers are in Antikythera or what purposes they may serve.
Presumably, if the timekeeper was able to just touch it and like wither it to dust.
There would be the things that had to put it there in the first place, yes, because the timekeepers wouldn't have really been able to do that.
Okay. Okay, so I'd also like to keep something else in the back of my mind. So presumably, given the fact that we are unable to get any information on the ice guy while we're in Eden, it's from him that we're receiving these revelations.
Roll investigation.
Virgil's already kind of postulated that.
$30-1.
Holy shit! That's not even a crit!
Yes, comma, indirectly. He is not giving you this information. It is a byproduct of what he did to you. So he doesn't necessarily know about these questions that you're asking. Some part of the relationship is keeping his information from you, almost as if like a failsafe.
Okay. What that also tells me then is that he has something to do with actual true magic.
Yep.
Since it's the actual true names that I'm getting from it. Okay. That's something to keep in mind. So I'm going to go over the actual true magic that I know. I know the names of the denizens so far. I know the name of the timekeeper.
You know about Eden, and you know that in correlation to Eden, your world is called Jericho.
Right. And these are all true names.
Yes.
Great. Okay.
You also know that you know you're coming into the knowledge of your name through a means that is a little different than the same existence that all of these things are. You've just to revisit this because it has been a while. The way that you've been taught about true magic is that it's an incomplete sort of fallacy-filled method of how it was like it's almost like trying to so imagine getting the Rosetta Stone but not having any actual other languages to use it on.
Yeah. Yeah, I had the rough idea for that. So, with my relatively, unique perspective on true magic at this point, am I certain that the true name that I know belongs to me is actually, true magic?
Yes.
Right.
It might be in an imperfect form, but like you being able to punch things with chromatic orb absolutely has to do with who you are. Like at a fundamental level.
Alright, so in addition to my other research projects, I would like to start seeing if I can do anything more immediate with the true name that I know.
Okay.
In the same way as my
So you
suffix.
want to try and see if you can like break different true names up into syllables?
Something like that, yeah. I just want to see if there's like any effect I can make happen with these true names and the methodology that I know
Okay,
works.
I'll say that's a 4-step clock. Contribute 2 steps to it from the 31.
Right. Okay. So I'll add that to my various list of projects.
Better to have lots than have none.
So I've got weird true naming. I have the sword, which is nearly done. I have the seraph, which I haven't started yet. I have the drowned king, which I have done. Yeah. Okay. Caught up.
Great. Cecil,
Yes.
you are making your way through the woods with Rudolph, and he looks very uncomfortable, and you probably have to go a lot slower just so he can keep up with you. He keeps trying to like get you to go in different directions than where you're initially like desiring to go, because you're kind of going in the most efficient straight shot, whereas he keeps trying to take the path of least resistance. So it's kind of turning your path into this zigzaggy like mess. And he's got branches cutting in through his clothes, and he there was a brief spat where he complained about a blister, or at least got halfway through a complaint about a blister and then clammed up.
How tall is Rudolph?
Like 5'2", 5'3",
He's like what, 17?
around there.
Ooh, I thought
So
he was a kid.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
kind of younger. He's like maybe 13, 14.
Oh, so I could feasibly just like piggyback style and just keep going.
What's your strength?
-1.
That's gonna take your speed down to like 10, and you're gonna get levels of exhaustion if you do it for longer than like half an hour.
Okay. Maybe not then. So yeah, they're going on a zigzaggy road. Cecil is being considerate not to like go too fast or go to, like, he was not taking the path of most resistance either, just to make sure. But even then,
Well,
he
yeah,
kinda had to
but
tone it down.
you're a lot better at getting
Yeah.
through woods than Rudolph is all I'm saying.
Yes, because yeah, there's very rarely a time where Cecil's like on the ground. But yeah, so they're traversing that. How far away is the tiered gardens, or are the tiered gardens?
By just sheer approximation, did you ever climb any trees to get a look at them? You're sure you're heading in the right direction, but
I'm under the impression, yeah, just not on camera.
all right. Probably take you like in the way you're currently traveling, probably 2 to 3 days. If you were alone, more like a day and some change.
All
And then
right.
you'd have to rest before actually going up.
Okay. So, question about would it be an investigation roll or a nature roll to like look for a path that is kind of a compromise rather than just switching between like nice path and fast path?
That would be survival.
Survival. Okay. All right. I guess there's no compromise to be made.
So, roll investigation parallel to that, because you are looking around for a path. You just are having trouble identifying one. So you have the feeling that like there's a difference with the jungle you're in as opposed to the jungle you came from. You know how there's usually like wildlife trails that deer will naturally like put into woods and stuff?
Yeah.
You haven't seen much of those recently. And the reason for that is probably because you've been taking this straight shot to the tiered gardens. It looks like you've sort of moved away from where things usually travel and more into like habitat zones, so you're more likely to
Yeah.
like stumble upon something's nest or
Okay.
like
Sure.
yeah.
Okay. Um.
Rudolph is kind of
I,
like just standing in place as you're doing all this looking around, and he pipes up. He's like, Cecil. He's
yes.
just kind of awkwardly holding his book.
Do you?
Are we stopped for like a good reason, or?
I was looking for maybe a less obtuse path. That's okay.
He scratches the side of his face and is like, "What if we tried to get like a local guide?"
That's not a bad idea. All right. Sure. Do you? I can't really pick one out. I mean,
He
I could have tripped over a couple of foliants by now, and I wouldn't have noticed.
he thins his lips and scratches his head. I hadn't really thought that far, but we could start looking.
We could. Before we do, can you tell me about this? And Cecil produces the emerald.
He just kind of like rears back a little bit when just the sheer refractive force of its faces comes out.
Big old jelly.
He kind of tentatively approaches and holds his hand out for it.
Cecil hands it to him.
His hand bobs down as if he hadn't expected the amount of weight to it, and he's like, "Holy shit, dude! This emerald is gigantic."
Yeah. Oh, that's what it's called. Okay.
Yeah, emeralds are a really expensive kind of precious stone. I've seen some of them be used for certain transactionary reasons back home. This thing could probably buy you like a whole ass mansion.
All right. I'll keep it in check. If I do intend to buy a mansion, I'll save a room for you, I suppose.
Where did you get this?
And I found it on the ground.
And you don't think whoever dropped it might come looking?
Well, they can take it then. But I mean, it wouldn't do them much good on the ground now, would it?
I guess you're right. He nods. If you see any rich
Now-
people asking, it's probably what they're after. And he hands it back to you.
Well, I wouldn't give it back to them if they were rich. Anyways, he's looking around. Maybe I could just call out for someone.
Would you be
You
willing
know.
to deal with the consequences if something less than friendly came knocking?
How well can you climb a tree?
I'm gonna look for a place to hide.
Okay.
And he's gonna roll stealth. You see him just like move over and crouch behind a
He's just-
log.
I love the idea of him just stuffing himself into a hollow log. His legs are sticking
He
out.
just has like
No,
he just has 3 shitty leaves on the top of his head.
All right. So, Cecil standing in this not even an outcrop, but just this patch of non-trees. Shouts the word guide real loud, and I would like to make that as an intimidation check to perhaps call out for a guide.
It's probably gonna scare people away if
Wouldn't
you're
you
rolling
rather make that
intimidation.
a persuasion check?
Okay, but hear me
Let
out.
me
The
guess,
only
you're
reason
proficient in intimidation, but
No.
persuasion.
I would make it a persuasion check, but this is more. You can persuade someone through intimidation.
There are 2 ways this is gonna go. All right.
All right.
The first
all right.
way
I want to see what happens.
is you're challenging the local apex to their status as the apex, or
Okay.
you're scaring everything away.
What is an apex in this situation?
Probably. It could be
We
the
don't
thing
know.
Sentra mentioned that he had killed.
It could be Sentra. No.
Sentra just like appears out of a
he
bush.
just
He's like,
pops up.
"Hey."
You called the alpha.
Cintra's twin brother.
Fentra.
Fentra. Fentra.
No, his
Sentinel.
twin
Any relation to
his
Moga?
twin brother is his twin brother is Trailblazer.
Okay, we're getting sidetracked. Well, not we. I and yeah. So screaming for a guide would only get the attention of an apex predator or no one.
Yes.
Can
With
I try?
intimidation, like you're roaring this.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I see how it works. Okay. Persuasion then. Oh, wait. Hold up. Maybe actually no, that wouldn't work. I was thinking of deception, but that wouldn't make any sense. So yeah, persuasion. Just calling out for a guide in the woods. I don't really want to scream.
Hello?
No problem. I
Yeah,
gotcha.
excellent.
Go
Yeah,
ahead and
okay.
roll.
Uh 22.
Oh my fucking.
So I'm gonna say that
I like the idea that Cecil just does and a guy pops out of the bush.
nothing happens.
Hello?
Nothing happens for
Just,
like a good 5-10 minutes, and then another
Just
scent.
a Rajang.
What's up?
Just a Rajang leaps
Oh yeah,
out.
of course. And then another scent joins the conglomeration of jungle scents that you've become a little used to at this point. It is one of the people that you can only assume belonged to the tribe of Goronja that Centro was a part of. It looks like they were out foraging, and they kind of come up looking a little incredulous, carrying a hand-woven basket that's full of berries and fruits and twigs and herbs of various kinds.
All right, sweet. So first thing is that Cecil is gonna point to himself, and what was the Garanja phrase for what was it? What was his nickname? Rabbit Stomper.
Yeah,
What was it?
that was
Was it-
that
was
was
it
the
Rabbit
second one.
Stomper?
The other one was the other one was like fucking wolf something that you thought was racist.
Oh yeah. Um. Yeah. So the Rabbit Stomper.
Rabbit Stomper,
in-
Flesh Talon.
Rabbit Stomper, Flesh Talon.
Also, yeah, you have Death in the West. It's completely unharmed.
Yeah. Points at himself.
So you say that?
Yes.
They already look like they had a little bit of recognition, but they shake their head just slightly and say, "What guide?" Except they're mispronouncing guide. It looks like they're trying to say the word you said, except they're kind of fucking it up.
Gwide.
G'day.
They don't know how
Yeah,
it's
okay.
spelled. They're trying to phonetically replicate it.
The tiered gardens. We're attempting to get there as fast as possible.
They blink.
The pillar in the sky that way.
Ah, Sky Temple.
Yeah, Sky Temple.
It
Sorry, I got that mixed up.
It nods and then just like very nonchalantly walks over to Rudolph and helps him to his feet, and he's like, "How did you see me?" Takes him over to you. And then it sort of lifts up the basket and looks at it and then looks at you. And then it takes some of the berries out and eats. And it's like, "We'll go more later." And it starts leading you. After probably a good 3 to 4 minutes, you break out of the quote-unquote habitat zone, unblazed trail area of the jungle into a much more open, almost like roadway, like multiple different canals of just open space that you can move through. Like, picture the claustrophobic areas of the ancient forest as opposed to the much more open areas. It's like that.
Yeah.
You're walking through areas that are much easier to traverse. Rudolph's having very little trouble. But you do get the sense that you're not moving directly towards the tiered gardens, just in the vague general direction. And as you're moving, there's a lot more like little settlements and buildings, and you see a lot more people just ambiently about. Some of them Folians, some of them just
Wow.
dead-ass humans, a couple Palturans. You see some Iscardian demons. Like, there are just people living here, and
Yeah, it's just a whole ass township.
none of them seem to care about you. Like, occasionally you'll get like a friendly, jovial wave from someone who's kind of like maybe carving something cool into some bark that had fallen off of a particularly large tree. There's these big nets that are woven into the pseudo canopies as opposed to the main canopy, and it looks like they're their own kind of homes for different like creatures. You see these huge sloth-like creatures with tendrils coming out of their mouths, lounging about in the higher branches of these places. And the life around here is much more mirthful. It's
Yeah.
very different. It's much less deciduous, whatever that word is. Like the area the Gurdonjas inhabited
Yeah.
seemed to be,
A bit more grim.
yeah.
As we're walking, Cecil looks down at Rudolph and is like, "Have you got any like money?"
He kind of like reaches into his pouch and thumbs through his gill. Yeah, I've got a bit.
Okay. Are you hungry? I've had like only oranges for the past X amount of days that I've been traveling. Do you want to like see if you can get something to eat here?
Rudolph's just been like unsurreptitiously grabbing handfuls of stuff from the basket of the forager, and the forager was also eating from it, and like there were a few moments where it offered stuff to you too.
Cecil didn't take the berries. That's one thing.
Okay.
Is there like the smell of a restaurant nearby, or not even a restaurant, just like
Meat.
an outside stand?
Like what kind of food are you looking for? Because you smell food.
Like the smell of cooking thing.
Yeah, you smell
vegetable,
particularly a giant pot of stew
Gang.
that looks like capable. It looks like an outdoor pool-sized pot of stew. Just
Jeez.
this huge thing created of blackened, like almost charcoal-looking wood, except it's very clearly sturdy.
Hold up. Echo.
Yeah, that's a lot of echo. It's coming from
Whoa.
Carol.
Who's echoing?
It's Carol.
Of course it's Kara.
Well, I always have to ask just to make sure it's not me.
Of course. So Cecil quickly,
I accidentally
break-
kicked off my headset.
breaks off from the crowd and the two of them, and goes to the stew pot.
So there's a bunch of people tending to it. Some of them are like, they have their legs wrapped around different limbs of the trees so that they can actually like reach in and stir the stuff with, like, using teamwork to move these giant ladles
Yeah.
around. Some
Big
of
ol'
them
stew.
are manning things underneath it to maintain its, like, keeping it stable. It looks like a big communal stew pot that everyone can kind of help themselves to, and
Nice.
you get a few strange glances from these people, but when they see who you're with, there's a bit of a leer that forms between the Gurt Onja and these people, like a you shouldn't really be here leer, but still like a form of camaraderie, almost like just because I don't really have any good examples other than this, like, you know those families that would harbor Jews during the Holocaust, like willingly, but they knew that they'd get in big trouble for it.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. Like, you shouldn't. You need to be not here. But like, if like fuck it, like, you can have this food too.
Yeah. It's
Like,
that.
they're
Yeah.
friends, but
But it's also like, hey, maybe yeah. I got
maybe
that.
don't help yourself
So,
to the
yeah.
brownies downstairs, Anne Frank.
Cecil grabs some of that stew. Uses a
Yeah, some of them help you. Like they just kind of like, they clamor to get bowls for all three of you, and there's not a lot that you recognize in here. There's some, you recognize them as like these freshwater clams, and then there's some more tender meat and like, what's the thing potatoes are a part of?
starch.
Vegetable?
Yeah. There's root vegetables, like these tough, really pleasing to bite into morsels, and the whole thing seems to be in this broth that's kind of vegetarian.
Cool. Yeah. So everyone, like like all three of us, are kind of like taking a pause to have soup.
Rudolph fucking scarfs this shit down. It's good as hell.
It's good. Yeah. It's
He
love to have a communal
he
stew.
kind of looks around for a bit, splits off from you for probably 10 or so minutes just while you guys are eating, and he comes back with a giant, like a giant oiled organ,
Uh,
and just fills it up with a bunch of this stew
Oh,
for
right,
like
yeah.
storage, and then like corks it in 3 separate areas because like they use all 3 openings that the organ ordinarily had.
Love it. Love it. Excellent. Okay, sweet.
You guys get some
So,
funky looks from some Folians as they pass, but there's also like a smaller stew pot that's purely carnivorous. It looks like Dirt Scritch's diet isn't all that uncommon.
yeah, it's just all you can eat meat. And anyways, so, taking the pass, Cecil said thank you for the 3 of them, and they're heading off. They're laughing.
Great. So question out of character, how late would you guys like to go? Because I don't have work.
Well, you mean tonight or in general?
Tonight. Or also in general. Like I
I mean,
got
tonight
enough
I don't have work either.
I got enough
I thought I did, but it turns out camp's not starting until another 2 weeks.
I got a lot of
but-
I got a lot of time and a lot of stuff. So if you guys like want to take a break, I'm a little hungry, but I could go for a good long while. How are you doing, Stuart?
I was just gonna say my ears are actually starting to hurt, so I was just typing up like a rough outline of what I want Amalia to do, and then I was going
I
to.
think in that case, let's wrap up where everyone's going to be and what plans we have for next time, so that we can kind of facilitate a similar kind of session next Monday to what we were doing on the airship. How we were kind of just like going through a task list. And then we can like just skip to the action scenes of Cecil actually getting to the pillar and Malia and that crew doing whatever the fuck they want to. You guys, everyone that's not Cecil is kind of in downtime mode. So you guys can work on your projects. You can start new projects. You can go foraging for like serums and stuff. Yeah, no. I guess you're in a little bit of an in-between where you're in a downtime but you're having like weird extracurricular activities forced on you, which I'll get to.
Okay, but do I have time to go to a lab or whatever?
You will immediately after what is currently happening finishes. So I'm gonna let Cecil. I'm gonna describe him getting to the pillar because that's where we're gonna leave off with him, and then I'm gonna finish up your scene, and then that's gonna be it for the rest of the session. Does that sound good?
Okay.
Great. So
I was
what's up, Fergus?
I was just gonna say we could have, if only if Stuart was in a time zone, then we could just continue to play
It's-
until like 3.
Yeah, true. But
Stuart,
the issue here is specifically his ear problems that he's got going on.
Yeah, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Get well soon.
Hopefully they get those bug nests out of him.
Ugh.
I don't know if you guys knew this, but I had a dead hornet in my ear
No.
canal once.
No.
It was like as big as one of my pinky knuckles.
Okay, just get on
So,
with it, bastard.
um,
Cretin, vacuous fool, a curse upon your
Cecil,
children.
Rudolph, and your guide. Your guide introduces... I haven't used any non-binaries, so we're gonna throw one in there. They are a they, and they were originally female, and they cut off one of their boobs in the Amazonian way to accommodate a quiver strap.
You know,
Their name is...
That's metal as
It's
hell.
Gatnoon, and they are not ordinarily a forager, which is why they were so willing to part ways with their duty to help you out. They are a hunter. Hunt. What? Oh God.
Hunter.
You're
Hunter
killing it,
is
Eric.
Gender
They're
neutral.
a
Hunter is gender
But-
neutral,
but
Eric.
huntress.
Please stop. Huntress is nothing.
okay. They're a hunter,
Thank you.
and they're going with you. Gatnoon is very excited to get to the pillar because it seems like they have quite the vendetta against the Fire family. It seems like the Gurt Onja in general have a bit of a vendetta against the Fire family.
don't blame them.
So
Does Gatnoon speak a little bit better than
no,
everyone else?
Gatnoon speaks a little worse than
'Cause
everybody
I'm wondering
else.
how they're getting this across.
You like in your momentary rests that Rudolph needs, Gatnoon probably like takes out these carvings of just like these gruesome scenes of like with stick figures that aren't immediately clear, but Rudolph sort of acts as this symbology translator of, oh yeah, it looks like it's kind of like a self-insert of just murdering a bunch of scholars, and the only local scholars I can think of are the Fire.
As an anti-intellectual myself, I'm very excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, Gatnoon's gonna be fun. You guys go, you kind of have to go off the beaten path, like off the big open areas and back into the more confined, habitual, deciduous areas to get to the actual base of the pillar, and it is just fucking huge. Like picture the big like flame towers in Farron Keep.
Yeah.
That, except like the one that was
It's
holding up the bridge, with the big wolf of
yes.
Farron in it.
Question. I actually don't know this. How hard is it to make a hang glider?
Probably not hard if you have schematics for it. If you fuck up the
Okay.
science, it's gonna kill you. It's gonna go 20 feet
That's
and then
okay.
dive bomb you into the
Good.
ground at more than terminal
Paper
velocity.
airplane, got you. So, question. Could feasibly now as a Catherine could okay, out of character.
What's-
Could Catherine feasibly make a
Um,
out of plant?
Catherine, plant is kind of heavy is the problem. Catherine, what's your flat intelligence score?
Let me check. My flat. I think it's high. I think it's pretty high. Yeah, 18.
If Catherine had like something to eyeball, she could probably come up with something like that in like an 8-step clock, depending on how on how like complex the size, all that sort of stuff.
Huh. Is there any way to investigate before we cut off how people get down from the tiered gardens aside from the flying
So-
thing? Because probably not everyone has that.
Ambiently in the woods, you've actually seen. Actually, no. I'm gonna say when you were at the very top of the tree, you saw the very loose, chaotic network of railings that extend down here from the Bastio district. They got around with the lift system that is currently defunct.
Nice.
Maybe you can get Sentra to power a portion of that that's still intact. But parts of
Yeah,
it
'cause it's
look
hard.
as broken as the one connecting the Cirque district to the Cherus. So
Okay. So as long as people intuit that danger is about to happen, we're fine.
yeah.
All right. Good. I trust Sentra.
The problem is like if you fail climbing this thing when you're halfway up, terminal velocity
would I-
does kill you.
Why would I fail?
Why would you fail? Exactly. Just save
Cretin.
your health. You're gonna need a lot of effort.
Make every roll good?
Catherine.
Easy.
Yes.
I'm gonna change the music here real fast.
Because I have a couple of lines that I came up with several days ago, and I've been rehearsing them since.
Oh, hell yeah. So, would you like to say anything in specific about this current scene?
Current scene is I'm in my room waiting for
You're
one
being
of the big guys to
You're
come,
being
right?
worked on. You're sitting in front of a massive armoire with an even bigger mirror. You're having makeup caked onto your face. Your hair's being pulled back in different ways, and you have a large shawl that's keeping anything from getting on like your blouse or your body.
All right. Ouch! My hair. Uh, Guys, I really don't think you should be putting such pale makeup. I think I'm more of an autumn, but I guess you do you. But could I dye my hair a different color? Anyone?
The people working on you specifically are not Azitra, and they're wearing clothing that's very different from the sort of ordinarily flowing whites. It's much more simple garb, and you can see a lot more of their skin, except they have a mask over their mouth and nose, and they will not respond to anything you say. They just kind of look at you eerily.
I'm like, I guess. Ow! Yes, I should have expected that. Oh well, at least. Ow. Purple goes well with everything.
You bring up dyes, and one of them kind of fetches your bags from next to the wall and lets you, and kind of like puts it underneath the shawl so you can look through it.
Oh, why thank you. Let's see. I don't have anything for my hair. I do have this. Well, I was going to use it as part of an undetectable poison, but it also works as body glitter. Do you think I should put a bit on this? No, I didn't think. Yeah, I don't think so. Save it for another time.
I'm gonna say there's two of them, one taller, one shorter. They kind of give each other a look, and then one of them moves out of the room briefly and comes back, and you can kind of see them vaguely out of the out of the mirror. You can't see what they're doing. It looks like their back's turned to you, but they're looking down, and it almost looks like they're writing. Anyways,
Could I read that after you're done?
they don't. They continue not responding. The shorter one, which is the one that continues working on you, finally pulls the shawl off and sort of stands you up and allows you to inspect yourself. And your skin's been pretty significantly darkened artificially.
Okay, forget that line about pale makeup then.
Well, they were starting with pale makeup. I'll say it fit when you said it. And they also put some stuff on your hands. Your nails have these sort of talon-like elongations that are affixed to them. Like, these are probably 3 to 4 inch nail extensions with these. It's almost like this powder that they use that's darkened your skin so many shades, and it probably clashes with your current hair color. So if you're sure about not wanting to dye it, like, they're gonna let you.
Well, I certainly look unique. I've never worn blackface before. Suppose always time for something new.
Hopefully this never gets to Twitter.
That was my thought when you said my skin is... lovely nails, although they're awfully impractical for doing any work. I suppose I'm going to see a Zitra now?
The shorter one shakes her head. It's pretty clear that she's a woman. The taller one just kind of leaves, and the shorter one kind of takes your hand and starts to lead you. And after another good walk, you descend several layers of the tiered gardens, and you come into a central chamber where there's many more people, and they all look like you. And dangling from the ceiling of this place, there are hundreds of mannequins connected to strings with little hoops around various portions of their body. And one of them is vacant, and the shorter one kind of takes you over to it, and then moves sort of across from you so that you can see them. And she holds one of her arms out in front of her, and then the other to the left, as if she were about to dance with an invisible partner. And she nods to you to replicate this specific posture with the mannequin in front of you.
All right, points for creepiness. I wave my arms like she does.
As you do, you kind of see that the nails of your hands that have been elongated kind of seem to naturally fit into these these hoops around the mannequins at the places where your hands are. Do you want to put the nails through?
Yes.
It looks like
Why
it
not?
looks like the shorter woman is pleased as you do this, as she hadn't prompted you to do so yet. You just kind of caught on, and
Show.
she starts to very slowly put on this very step-by-step guide to a dance that is. It almost causes the body to flow as the wind. It's very eloquent, very exaggerated in certain manners, sometimes chaotic, and it looks like many of the people in here are rehearsing for something, and you're being taught something very culturally important. You probably stumble a few times, but she's always very helpful. She'll rush over and help you back to your feet and help you assume the positions once again. It's almost like this dance is telling a very specific story.
Right, that was lovely. Dancing with
Insight?
mannequins.
Do you want to roll insight?
Sorry, what did you say? Yeah.
Caro just asked insight. You're still not really sure what the hell these people have going on. You just want your greenhouse. And
Or I want some of what they're on.
yeah, sure. After probably a good hour and a half of just this practice, people start to disperse and leave. And there's a sudden stillness to the air. And people freeze what they're doing as all eyes look to the door that you had entered from as Ozitra comes in. And she moves to you, and she sort of brushes the back of her hand along the side of your face and smiles this warm motherly smile as she hunches herself over and says, "You are coming into your own quite well, aren't you?"
Why, thank you. I just had have a question for you. This ceremony that I'm going to be involved in, does it involve human sacrifice? And if so, am I going to be one of the sacrificers or one of the sacrifices? Because I have a moral objection to being dead.
She giggles to herself. No. This district would be empty if we sacrificed people at the Fire Mass. This is a celebration.
Oh, good.
She stays there, just smiling, probably maintaining far too long of a session of eye contact. She seems so pleased with you.
I am so creeped out. Like, she makes the dancing with mannequin thing look normal.
I have had your greenhouse arranged.
Oh! Perfect! Suddenly I like her a lot more.
Would you like dinner brought to you, or will you be eating with us?
I eat when I'm hungry.
She
I sometimes forget to do so when I'm working on a project.
Her other hand comes up and just kind of idly settles under your chin, and she asks, "And are you hungry?"
Right now, not very. I suppose I could always go for a bag of sunflower seeds.
She nods and says, "Then they will be fetched." And then she turns on her heel and strides out of the room in much the same way she came in. And it seems like everybody gets their breath back, but they continue what they were doing. It was almost as if time had stopped while she was in here, as all were entranced with her presence.
Entranced or afraid?
Probably equal measures of both. Roll investigation or perception.
Okay. Let's see, I have 4 in investigation, 7.
You caught a very fleeting glimpse of her body up her sleeve. And a couple inches past her wrist, it stopped being flesh. It refracted light in a very strange way.
Huh, so she's some sort of very strange Orium, possibly.
Maybe. And now, if you would like to start some greenhouse projects, you can.
Alright. Well, I want to make that I want to make that second setting on my cucumber gun.
All right. Do you already
and
have a clock
I
for
want
that?
to Sorry,
Do you
what?
already have a clock for that?
No, I don't think.
All right. Roll your applicable tool set.
Okay. Applicable tool set, which is alchemist tool.
All right. So make an 8-step clock and add 1 step to it.
Okay, so how do we do the clocks again?
You can do a fraction if you want, or I can put it in like this. Catherine. So this would be sunflower attachment, and it's an 8-step clock, so the total would be 8, and then you are currently at 1 step out of 8. So when you get the current up to the total, that's when it's done.
Okay, and I do 1 dice every...
So every time you work on it, you can work on it as a short rest and add 1 step, or you can work on it as a long rest and get 2 steps.
Okay. And...
Actually, this is probably like a 6-step clock.
Alright. And I'd like to try and get that X-ray thing started.
All right. What tools are you using?
Alchemist tools, I guess.
Okay, roll again.
Huh. Lucky 13 today, and by lucky I mean not lucky.
So this one's going to be a 12-step clock.
Okay.
X-ray parasite.
You still have your reroll.
And
You're
you
right,
also
I do.
you also have effort.
Oh, right. So what's the effort dice again?
Your hit dice.
I'd
Okay.
go with the reroll first.
Alright. Let's see what a reroll will get.
Much
I
better.
like the reroll.
All right, so you're adding 2 steps to this clock instead of 1. So you're at 2 out of 12 out of the X-ray parasite. Do you want to apply effort to the first one for the sunflower attachment?
Yeah.
All right. I think minimum roll gets it, so I'm just gonna roll to see how much health you lose, and then that's 2 out of 6. All right, so you lose 4. That's the best possible roll, ironically. And
Alright.
if any of you have a particular foreboding question before I go make myself food. Yeah?
I mean, I want to know what was up with the dancing and the marionettes and the fucking bullshitty, but that'll be answered in time, so.
Great.